starting.
Right. Oh, so hello. Assuming we are live. Welcome to the Todd and Taylor Show, anything but the election night special. I'm Todd A.
I am Taylor Trask. I was gonna do like a dramatic thing, like a live, because this is the first time we've ever done it live, right?
That's true. We'll do it live.
Live election night spectacular, bum 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 bum.
I'll just be honest with you, not feeling all that spectacular in this moment right now. So how are you holding up? What's your?
I'm trying to pay as little attention to it as possible because, as I always say every year, nothing really matters until the West is called. Until we get Colorado and beyond on the map, none of this is. I mean, for God's sake, if you want to die of a schizophrenic attack, go to Google and just type in election and just watch the map change literally second by second as like every new little bit of information comes in.
I appreciate your sang-froid in this moment.
It's absurd. I mean, if we thought TV news coverage was bad, Google's is like, that is not an appropriate substitute.
Very true. And I mean, it's just, pardon me while I crunch this carrot. It's just, it couldn't have come to this moment in any other way. So obviously it's not like there's just anxiety on one night.
Oh, sure.
It's been building for months and months, even a year and a half, as some people have said it. Although I don't think anyone was really all that panicked until the summer. But anyway, on the positive side, if I can spin this in another way, we went from me texting you, I got a dumb idea, to being live on YouTube.
There are no dumb ideas.
In like a week, which is pretty awesome. So here we are.
Yeah.
I mean, is there any way we can describe this or?
No, I just think this is a special. This is a special lounge for anybody who's just like, who wants a distraction from all their friends on Facebook, wants a distraction from all their friends on Twitter or text, or just needs something to listen to that's not this. Because for the next probably 2 hours, we're going to have an array of guests for you. Guests are going to be stopping by. We're going to have special people.
We have a guest.
Well, we have a guest, maybe more. Who knows? Who knows who will stop by? Our dear friend Emily is probably going to be stopping by in 30 minutes. You know her from previous episodes of the Todd and Taylor Show. We are going to be talking Doctor Strange. We are going to be talking LA Comic-Con. We're going to be talking things we're reading and watching on Netflix and TV and all these other things. So stay tuned, everybody, because this is going to be. We're going to try our damnedest to make sure we don't have to think about this until.
It's probably, I mean, it might just be interesting to see if you and I make it. Like,
maybe.
I may just tap out in like an hour.
I'll just at that point I'll start reading election results from 1958 at that point, and just I'll read them in like in a Walter Cronkite kind of voice and just pretend that that's the election we're going through right now. That's what I'll do.
Yes, although. There wasn't an election not a presidential election in 1958.
Oh, really? Did I call the wrong? 56?
Yeah, okay. and then 60 would have been Kennedy over Nixon.
Oh, that's right. Of course.
Yeah. So, are you imbibing anything? Are you stress eating? What's going on in your chateau right now?
I ordered a pizza. I can't imbibe anything. I drank way too much at the Colorado Hard Cider Festival.
Whoa. Let's talk about that.
5th annual Colorado Hard Cider Festival, located in sunny Paonia, Colorado, where the farms are fresh and the people are lovely. That's where every year they have. What's that?
When did this take place?
It took place last weekend.
Oh, okay. So just like a couple days ago.
Actually, no. I take that back. I drank so much that I forgot. It was actually the 30th. It was before Halloween. It was the Saturday before Halloween.
Oh Lord! Wow, you were nursing a hangover.
Well, not a hangover. I'm one of those people who if I consume too much alcohol, I'm done for a long while.
I get it.
And this is kind of one of those where my body's just like, okay, that was good. Now we'll talk to you again after the new year.
I don't know if we've ever touched on this before, but I have not had a drink in almost 2.5 years now.
Now, is that by choice or
yes.
Is that okay? Excellent.
Not for any, just for the kicks of lording it over people, I guess, just to bring up in conversation like this.
Now, do you have the? Are you a token carrier, or was this just a personal?
No. Okay. It was, and it wasn't even meant to go on that long. It went on long enough that I couldn't find a compelling reason to start drinking. Although I've been presented with many in the past several months.
Yeah, but you lived in London for a while. I think that should,
I did. I was a bartender in London.
Oh, there you go. That's that. That.
I didn't. I mean, I never had like wild drinking days.
Well, but just being a bartender, I feel like that legitimacy allows you to tap out on the drinking scene for quite a while, if you so desire.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I had tapped out before for like a month at a time, and it's. That's always a great rejuvenating thing to do. And I think when you go for like a year or so, I think it gets a little confusing on what's it going to be like if I start drinking again.
Yeah. I'm one of those people. I've always been a less is more kind of guy. Even in high school, like I didn't drink hardly at all, mainly because the beer was so god awful. I was just like, this is not fun. But I'd have my wine every once in a while. And it wasn't until I moved to Colorado that I ever had proper good beer, and that was 7-8 years ago. So I and my girlfriend we always tease each other. We're like perpetual late bloomers. And I'm just a less is more kind of guy. So like there are 3 or 4 times during the year where I will just get really cozy and just drink as much as I possibly want to. And then I'm done for a while.
Well, that's pretty good.
So anyway, the Hard Cider Festival, that is in Paonia. It is on the western slope, which a lot of these weakling Denver people don't ever want to go to because it takes longer than 3 hours to get there. So if you're listening and you're from Denver, go to Paonia. It will do you right. But it's great. It's the 3rd year we've gone. It's the 5th year they've had it. And it's just this little festival, this little fall festival on the Delicious Orchards campus that is just, as charming as can be. I am not usually a big crowd person, but I will fit right in there. So that's, yeah. Why did we get off on that? Oh, imbibing.
Because, yes, so you're taking some time off, and so as a imbiber, this is probably the wrong night to take off. I mean,
probably. I will confess, I have, I used to be kind of a bigger red wine fan. I still appreciate wine, but ever since I discovered edibles, that has also put a sort of limit on my alcohol intake. I'm just not as interested.
Okay.
Sadly, don't have an edible tonight either, because when I do, there's only been 2 times when we recorded this show that I've had one, and I dare not say which episodes because I don't want you or anybody going back through to be like, which one was it? What did he say? I was fairly moderate, but I know during the time I was like, oh, this could go bad at any second, and somehow I eked my way through. So I made a promise I'm not going to do that again.
It seemed like something came up where we talked. It's because we want to do a year-end wrap-up, and that was where you proposed. Not our past one, but for our future one, there was sort of a like challenge accepted kind of thing of like, I will possibly be.
I think I think it would be fun to do it then, because I could start. It takes about an hour and some change to kick in, so it'd be fun just to eat it, start the podcast, and see at what point during the episode it hits me.
It all goes wrong.
Yeah. That could be fun, and it's almost like a countdown timer. Like it'll keep us on track.
Yeah,
because I'll just know intuitively, like, oh, here we go, it's coming.
No, so when you have an edible, is it purely recreational, or is there a medicinal quality to it that you are? Because maybe we should point out you live in Colorado, so
I do.
It's perfectly legal for you to recreate with an edible.
This is true, yeah. And I had never even tried marijuana prior to living here, and prior to, they'd had it legal here for a full year recreationally before I even stepped in.
Oh wow!
Like most people who consume, I'm going to say a little of both, because what you find. And I don't do well smoking. It doesn't really. I don't inhale very well. I just my years of cigar smoking has sort of prevented that. with an edible, like it just kicks in. It's a fuller blast. I feel anytime I'm really stressed out or really want to make sure I have a good solid night of sleep.
Ooh, okay.
That's
now we're talking. I didn't know this was an option.
Yeah, well, and for me it is. Now keep this in mind. Everybody. It has a different sort of reaction to it, right? Yeah. Because we don't know enough other than just what what past adventurers have come back to tell us. Like, we don't know enough as a people, so it's kind of at your own risk, and everybody kind of has their own way of being affected by it. I am fortunate in that it's like a massage for the brain. So it really kind of resets me. I always like to say it's like Control Alt Delete for your mind. And when your brain resets, you have like a clear desktop and like one single folder that says my bullshit, and you can choose to open it or not. That's how it affects me. And so it's like I'll, in those cases, this is a once or twice a month kind of thing. It's not, it's not regular. But I will say, since I started about a year and a half ago, I have just been much more productive and much more even-tempered, I think. So
interesting.
To go back to your thing, yeah, I mean, I enjoy it, but I do feel like I'm getting some kind of, medicinal-like benefit out of it.
Well, my follow-up to that is, are you an anxious person by nature? Like, is that a thing that you struggle with? I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
No. Oh my God, I'm anxious. My fight or flight kicks in and I just run off. I suffer from social anxiety very acutely, but in the most bizarre of circumstances. So like, going to the Hard Cider Festival, there was probably, 500 people there at any given time. Completely cool with that. Going to a friend's wedding dance, freak the hell out. It's just like,
really?
It's not,
okay.
Yeah. And so it's like, but normally I'm not anxious so much as just my brain is just going 100 miles an hour, usually at all times. So it's nice to be able to have some mechanism to slow that down and just go, oh, okay, I'm still here. The world is still here. And, I might rattle off some loopy things. The weirdest thing I have ever said. I was telling a friend this the other day too. The first time I ever had an edible, I had like a little voice recorder with me, and I was like, if I have some brilliant idea, I want to make sure I have it recorded, because who knows? Who knows what's going to happen?
This is just normal life, not edible life.
No. That was the first time I had an edible. But I
mean, you have the recorder with you at all times. You're just talking about.
Well, most of the time.
Or is it just an edible recorder? You just take it with you when you know you're going to get high.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Well, at that time, I mean, not so much, but I'm like, I was really like the first time I consumed, it was after a really amazing day. My really good friend, who is 40 years my elder, was in town, and he was like, "Let's go." And so I ended up getting like a little pack of these strawberry shortcakes, but I treated it like Steve Carell in 40-Year-Old Virgin. That scene where he masturbates for the first time, and he like puts on the candles, and it's all very official. It was a lot like that. Like I was like, okay, I got my blanket, I'm on my couch. Okay, I'm not going to drive. No one drive for the next 2 hours. Which is hilarious because as soon as I ate it, Rachel calls, and I was like maybe 20 minutes into digesting, and like Rachel calls, she's like, "Hey, do you want to come meet me for Korean barbecue?" And I was like, "No, I'm not supposed to drive. You see, I'm supposed to stay here." And it was.
I got it all. It's all planned out.
It was really official, and so I had my recorder. I'm like, okay, here, and my notepad in case I'm going to draw something in case I get inspired. Who knows what's going to happen? We don't know. And that night, the funniest thing off the recorder was me going on this like long diatribe, interspersed with just maniacal laughter. But at one point I said, "You are the truth of the river," and I was just like, I listened back to that going,
hell of an edible.
Well, and I remember saying, like, at the time, like when I said that out loud, I remember thinking, this is the most profound statement anybody has ever made, and I am going to get the credit for saying this thing. And then the next morning, of course, and I listened back to everything, I was like, yeah, that's interesting. And then I get to that part, I'm like, oh God. Like it had all the pretension that you could possibly imagine of just like this dude going, "You are the truth of the river." I was just like, okay. So yeah, it's fun to live in Colorado. Hopefully after tonight, other states will have this opportunity as well. And yeah. How's your week been? I've been just gabbing like crazy.
No, I was asking you about that. I mean, as we in fact we have mentioned before that I have this regular writing gig. Thanks to you, we are both connected to this client for whom I write, and I wrote about being a person who wrestles with anxiety as a musician. And a couple weeks ago, you can check out that blog at blog.songcastmusic.com, or is it just songcast.com?
Well, songcast.com is where you find the
business.
Yeah, all of a sudden, this podcast sponsored by Songcast. No, it's about blog.songcastmusic.com, or I think you repost them on your own Medium account as well, right?
Yeah. I don't know a quick way to get there, but I'm at Hey Todd A on Medium.
Yeah. But it was really good. It was one of your. I mean, all the stuff you've written has been pretty great, but that one in particular, I remember reading, going, "Oh man, this," because it's not something you hear about a lot. It's usually with musician advice, it's standard stuff that's helpful, like, hey, what microphone should you choose? How should you do live? You do live shows, stuff you've already written about. But this is like, this kind of cuts to the heart of, I think, of a lot of stuff, and you don't even have to be a musician to appreciate it.
Well, that's true. I just talked about that struggle of panic attacks and stuff. So I guess I had that. I mean, I guess it'll be interesting. Maybe we talk about Comic Cons when anxiety and Comic Cons when Emily joins us. But anyway, I brought all that up to say I don't have any edibles with me, but there is a prescription medicine in front of me. For some.
You do live in California, though, so I would assume pretty soon, man.
Yeah, I mean,
they're voting tonight. This exact thing.
Top 64 or something. Yeah. So, but back to my week. If we want to talk about anxiety and why, why that's an issue. I had to sign up for some health insurance through a job, so I had a different deadline than everybody, which was today. Deadline for signing up for health insurance was Election Day.
Wow.
Sunday night, I went to see Doctor Strange, which we'll talk about in a minute too. But I'm like, literally the lights start to go down. We've been there for 20, 30 minutes, before it, watching previews, sitting in our nice, perfectly chosen seats. Uneventful until the lights start to go down, and I get this buzz, and I look down, and this charge has gone through on my bank from a Walmart, and I'm like, because my notifications tell me anytime something is charged to my bank, and I was like, Walmart? I haven't been to a Walmart. What's going on? So I run outside, and open up my banking app and see that $50 has gone through a Walmart in Homestead, Florida. And I was like, this can't be good. I bet they're just going to check it. And if that one works, then they're just going to empty my bank account,
Oh, man.
And
you don't have like fraud protection or alerts or anything like
Well, that's what this was. So I block it. I block the card. So the card cannot be used. And I email support and say, I didn't charge this because there's a little on my app, I can note the charge and say this is incorrect. I want to dispute this, whatever. So I sit nervously through this movie, even though I know, my card's blocked and it's not going to happen again. So Monday morning, I'm talking to support, and they're running me through all the, had you ever shopped at this location before? Are there any other charges on your card? Whatever, the usual stuff. They're just sort of crossing off all the check boxes there, and then it ends with like, well, of course we want to get you a new card. And I said, yeah, well, there's some sort of time constraints involved in this week. I'm traveling a couple days, and so I need this card by this day. And they said, no problem, you'll have it on Wednesday. We'll send you a FedEx tracking number. And I was like, thank God. So then I leave my house and notice I need some gas.
Oh no!
And I'm like, well, I got to unblock my card to get that gas. So I open up the app, and there's no card on there.
Oh,
and so I, email support and go, what? Can you reactivate my card so I can, charge some gas? Actually, what I did was I had some cash with me, so I paid some cash for some gas, and it told my bank support what was going on, and they said, no, once we request a new card for you, the other card is totally canceled.
Oh yeah, I've had that happen before.
So then, yesterday is wall to wall, like work is super stressful, and I leave early to go vote. I'm in line for 90 minutes to vote, almost 2 whole hours there, because I stupidly drove up and thought this line won't take so long. So I sat in my car reading the rest of like all these propositions. In California, we had to vote on at least in my county and city, I had to vote on like 27 something things.
I heard that California is pretty proposition.
It was outrageous. Like, it was like 2 200-page booklets that I received outlining every candidate and every proposition.
Can I just pause real quick and just say one more point for Colorado? Beautiful sunny Colorado, where the pot flows like wine and we all get mail-out ballots. So
I didn't know until this year, actually, until you mentioned it, but you can do that in California. You can I can change my registration and say I want to be a permanent by-mail voter, which I will. I just missed the deadline. Actually, I didn't even miss the deadline this year. I just didn't trust it. It was like the week of, and I thought, nope, not going to risk it. Just
here you actually have to say I want to vote in person here, otherwise they'll just mail you a ballot. Like that, you don't get it. You have to say the other way.
That's awesome, and
it's so great.
Yeah, and so so I get home last night, too late to do anything about this morning. I'm busy at work. I forget about it. So it's after lunch when I finally contact my bank and say I haven't got a tracking number from you. And they're like, oh, well, usually those go out within a couple of days. And I'm like, I don't have a couple of days. You get this bank. I don't have fucking money, man. Jeez. I have no access to my money. And in the meantime, I had opened up. I went, well, this is crazy. I can't have internet banking anymore. So I'd gone to like a local branch and opened up an account. But I can't put any money in there because it takes 2 to 3 days to verify the link between the two banks. Yeah. So I'm like totally sweating this thing. Oh, and plus Monday night after I got home from voting, I had to deal with the insurance thing because it was due. And I'd spent all this time like calling, medical providers and stuff I'd used before and comparing all the plans and everything. I finally get that nailed down and filled out. And then I look down and there's 21 more steps for this.
Oh, God.
And I had to contact support at least twice yesterday while I was on it. But I think like I'd already done that 3 or 4 times before because every step I would go, there's no context for this. What do you mean? You have this thing? Was this
your company's healthcare? Or was this like healthcare.gov or like what was?
I've had the similar experience on healthcare.gov, but this was actually a private one. It's just that in order to streamline everything, they want you to do all of it all at once rather than. I mean, you can pause and save. It was just that I had a really short window because of this, some other circumstances involved. So normally you might have a month to kind of go through this. I had like a week. And it took me until Friday afternoon to get answers from a doctor on whether they accepted this plan or not. So so today I was just like, it's enough stress. I've hit my stress level.
Dang, man, that's
and it's no time for me to have this Google tab open. It does not look like it's moving.
Shut the Google tab off. Enjoy this show. If you're still watching CNN at home or you're still on Facebook just hitting refresh, just put that away for an hour or two. Stick with us. We'll get you through the rest of the night.
Taylor will.
Well, here's my question. Do you have any suspicion as to how your card ended up at a Walmart in, what did you say?
Homestead, Florida.
Homestead, Florida, yeah.
I have no idea.
Mm-mm. I wonder. Did you eat out anywhere where you could have? You know what? The sort of the tricksy thing that I've seen more and more lately. You got to watch 2 things. You got to watch gas pumps and ATMs. So a lot of ATMs now, you'll see where you put your card in. Somebody can easily pop a magnetic, like very thin reader over the main thing and basically read your card. And then there's a little camera. You always got to look for 2 things. Jiggle the reader on gas pumps and ATMs and look to see if there's a little dot that represents a camera because they need the camera to see your PIN code, right? So the camera will beam down on what you're keying in, and then the actual card scanner will scan your card. So then they have your card. It's a pretty adept scam, but it's becoming more prominent because it's so damn easy to make these things.
I mean, that's kind of the. Obviously, you got to be. Boy, this is one of the weirdest podcasts we've ever done. Oh, yeah. Obviously, you got to be careful, but I think that's where those notification apps come in, where it's like, I know immediately when someone, I love that freedom. I just wish my bank had said, "Oh, by the way, when we issue you a new card, we're gonna totally deactivate this," and then I would have said, "Hey, real quick, let me go get some cash."
Seriously, yeah.
I'm a modern person who doesn't carry a whole lot of cash around,
Yeah, that's too bad.
And even with the myriad ways I have to pay for things, I only have one way to get cash. which is through that card. You know.
Do you care to say which bank it is that screwed you, or would you rather not give them any promotion?
I'm not gonna. I don't really want to. Yeah, get on that.
Never mind.
Because I think they're otherwise pretty good, and it's not a Wells Fargo situation where they just flat out took money from me in front of me and then refused to give it back.
Yeah.
And it took me like weeks until I finally did what's it called, the executive email carpet bomb, where I grabbed their entire executive board and emailed them all and said, return this post haste, and got refunded on a Sunday.
Wow. Damn.
That's how annoying I became.
I mean, consumerist.com.
That's exactly where I got all the email addresses.
Yeah, they're great for giving you sort of the ammunition to take down. Now, I would argue if you're at home going, well, I've been wronged by all these different people, like, use that weapon wisely, because if you use it once or twice, you can't really go back and use it a third or fourth time. So I would say
absolutely, you had to pick your battles.
I hold it as like a finishing move if you need it, but don't just carpet bomb.
That's what we should call it, a finishing move.
Because the
executive email finishing move. I don't think that any executive saw that email that I sent.
Oh, I'm sure not.
I CC'd the bank, the branch manager, and I'm sure that branch manager saw that I had CC'd all the executives.
Yeah,
I'm sure that a filter kept it from actually hitting the executives.
Although you'd be surprised, you can, and I have done this, and I have gotten a result out of it. If you get screwed over on Amazon, or you just get a shitty, stack of service for whatever reason, you can email Jeff Bezos, and what he'll do, or what his assistants have been trained to do, is forward it on to the right department with simply a series of question marks and nothing else. And apparently that is the most feared email in all of Amazonium. In all of the Amazon corporate world, the worst thing in the world is to get an email from the office of Jeff Bezos with simply question marks, because as soon as that happened, within the hour of them getting it, I got like 3 apology emails, like everything was corrected, everything was fixed. I'm just like, why couldn't you guys have done this the first time? Like, why did it take that? But it's interesting that he always talks a big game about caring about or giving a shit about the customer, but that kind of thing really sort of backs that up in my mind. I'm like, well,
you think they'd have a Amazon or something by now.
I mean, maybe that's what happens. Maybe that address goes there, and somehow that's that they're all under the illusion that he still checks it. I mean, surely not, because if little old me can do it, who else is doing it like on a daily basis that he would get anything done?
They figured out this scam already. So has your pizza arrived as we near the top or bottom of the hour? I don't actually know which one it is.
Top of the hour.
Oh, top of the hour. Has your pizza arrived?
Oh, no, it arrived a while ago.
Okay. You've already had this pizza.
Well, funny story. It didn't arrive. Actually, I had to go pick it up because they had run out of drivers. And after about 20 minutes of my pizza being in the inspection, so I use the Domino's app that gives you like the little status of every step, and it was in the inspection status for like 20 minutes. And I called and I was like, "Hey, you guys gonna actually deliver it?" And they're like, "Oh God, we're so sorry. We are completely out of drivers. I don't know what to do." And then this is the manager I'm talking to. That's who picked up the phone. He's like, I can bring it over. I'm like, well, no, I mean, I'm 10 minutes away. I'll just come get it. Like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah. So I drove over and got it and got a free beverage as a recompense for my effort.
Wow.
So
Taylor, I was a pizza driver one time. I don't know if you knew that about me. I used to deliver pizzas. I was tipped in marijuana one time.
Tying it all back together.
Way back when it was illegal everywhere. And I was a non-smoker, and I took it back to my managers, and they smoked it.
Like, good job, son.
In the pizza place. So
top work there, son. Keep it up.
That was fantastic. And as I recall, I don't think they actually paid me any cash for it. That was kind of a bummer.
Yeah, not even employee of the month.
I didn't know that I had that I could simultaneously be like weed delivery to my bosses, just transporting pizza to people and weed back to my bosses. But it didn't work out that way.
There's the name of a new delivery service, Pizza to People.
There's a great service going on right now called Pizza to the Polls, where I don't quite understand how it works, where they're sending, they have been through early voting, sending pizza to people standing in very long lines. And I think you can report like a long line and then donate, and this organization will coordinate with, local delivery to get it there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, are we still waiting on Emily to join us? I know at some point.
Yes. I am checking all my communications tools. She should join us soon. We know we're going to start talking about not boring whatever the hell it is we've been talking about for 30 minutes.
Well, let's jump in on some actual like traditional Todd and Taylor content.
If for some reason nobody's ever listened to the show, we like to say we talk about creative works. So we talk about books and movies and television and road rage videos on YouTube that Taylor has sometimes become obsessed with, and virtual reality and things like that. So what do you got for us? What's going on in your life? What are you consuming?
Well, and this is something Emily can chime in on too. We'll hold off on Doctor Strange, but I have discovered, or rather rediscovered, a little show on Netflix that I'm sure half our audience, if not most of our audience, is already well aware of. A little show called Black Mirror. And if you are a fan of the following things: Twilight Zone or Outer Limits, if you go back to like the early 90s, or even Steven Spielberg's Amazing Stories. If you're a fan of any of those things,
that was him.
Oh yeah. Black Mirror is like the punk modern version of any of those shows.
I mean, it is. Yeah.
Well, it was started. So seasons 1 and 2 were British produced. And I think, if I am not mistaken, I think season 1 came out in Britain, and then they put it on Netflix, and everybody lost their shit for it on Netflix, so they did a season 2 really quick. And then Netflix is like, God, this is great. We'll produce season 3. So they worked with the original showrunner to do season 3, and I think half of the episodes are American cast and half the episodes are British cast. Now, season 1, episode 1 is not where I would suggest starting this show, because
season 1, episode 1 is it's funny because this came up at work today, because we had recommended, I had not, someone else had recommended to a coworker that he watch Black Mirror. And so today he said, hey, I started watching that Black Mirror show. Well, he thought it was like any traditional show that you should probably just watch in order.
No,
which is not the case.
No,
so
because
everyone had told him it's kind of sci-fi horror and stuff. So he goes in expecting like Aliens or Stranger Things or something. And season 1, episode 1 happens, and he was like, "What the shit am I watching?" And so he and I were commiserating on that, because that's exactly what had happened to me. Was like a year ago, I had some friends that just kept pitching it to me, like, yeah, it's like this sci-fi horror, like, future dystopia thing. And I'm thinking like, oh, it all fits together, whatever. And the first episode, it's like, you the first maybe 10 minutes or something, you're going like, okay, well, this is some weird lead-in joke that's going to go somewhere else. And then you're like, no, this is not. Oh my God, don't.
Well, let's just cut to the chase. And this is not spoilering too much. And let me preface this by saying,
the dilemma of the episode is like a great like intro to it. Yeah, go for it.
And the reason I bring this up is because every episode is completely different story, different cast, different scenarios.
Anthology series, different actors.
Exactly. And I say don't start with season 1, episode 1, because it is so bizarre that it will probably put you off from the rest of it. So I would say start with some other episodes, then come back. Season 1, episode 1, and it blows my mind that they let off with this. It has to do with the little hostage situation in the UK, and the Prime Minister is basically called into the Situation Room, and the people making the demands go, We'll let this girl go. And I forget, who's the girl. Is she like part of the royal family, or she's like his wife, or no, who is she? She's daughter? What's her significance?
I think it's a daughter. Yeah.
It's somebody important to the Prime Minister.
Wait.
So
sorry. It's not the Prime Minister, it's actually a member of the royal family, I believe.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Yes. It is the Prime Minister whom they are threatening, but sorry.
The Prime Minister.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, well, and so they threaten the Prime Minister, and they say, we'll let her go, but you've got to do something very specific for us, live on national TV. And that specific thing he's got to do,
I can't wait for Emily to join right now,
is have sex with a pig. He has got to screw a pig on live TV.
Right. The Prime Minister.
The Prime Minister of Great Britain. And it's not like
Black Mirror, not Brexit.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. You're listening to this going, well, this must be like a comedy. No. This is like they shoot this with every bit of sort of seriousness, like an episode of Sherlock. It is
so disturbing.
It's a drama. Like the actors are all committed. Like everything about this is.
You say Sherlock. To me, it looks like one of those Vice documentaries where they're in like a war zone because it is like documentary footage where it's like. It is so sweaty and tense.
Now,
and I mean, it is a technological dystopia that we can recognize, like with its use of, cell phones or mobile devices and like the broadcast media and stuff like that. Like it's all that's what makes it very horrifying. But it's not sci-fi in any way in this first episode at all.
No. So, but you are right. That technological dystopia thing is a theme that actually penetrates most of these episodes. Like you can see it kind of rear its head. So that's season 1, episode 1. And again, you've got to work your way up to that to really appreciate this show. So I would suggest instead start with season 2, episode 1, which is literally, oh my God, it's literally a reverse Ex Machina. It is Damo Gleason, he is the android in this one. And the actress who plays Agent Carter, what's her name? Haley Atwell. She's his wife. And so what happens is like again, it's in the near future where technology is even better than it is now. In the future, you can basically save there's this app or this program or algorithm, I guess, that can call through your loved ones, your deceased loved ones' social profiles, email history, anything they've ever done online, and recreate them in the aggregate so you can kind of talk to them, like almost like a ghost, if you will. Well, the sort of stage 2 of this is when you can actually order a replicant of that looks just like your deceased loved one, and it downloads that algorithm into the head so you can actually live and talk and look at your deceased loved one. So that's the premise. And it's like that is, for me, that's Black Mirror. Like that's really what the show is all about. It's kind of like this twisted use of technology with a twist in the episode that I'm not going to spoil, and just like the whole thing is, I don't know, it's really, really compelling.
So have you gotten to the Netflix produced season 3 yet, or have you dipped in? Well, actually, that's another good thing is you can really skip around in the series.
Yeah.
It's not dependent on a through line of a story.
No, not at all.
Yeah, if you don't like an episode, maybe try out a different one.
Exactly. And I will say season 2 is season 2 is solid as hell. Like I loved it's exciting and interesting. It was all British cast, and there's a lot of people that you're going to recognize from other stuff like Doctor Who or Game of Thrones or Sherlock. So you're going to see a lot of kind of familiar faces, and you're like, oh, there's that guy, and a lot of IMDb lookups as you go. Season 3, I've gotten through it all. Some of it was brilliant. Some of it was a really hard sit. So there was, for example, like the very first episode of season 3 stars Bryce Dallas Howard, of all people.
Right.
She lives in a technological kind of dystopia future where everybody is rated by a social media app. So every interaction you have with a person, you can then leave like a rating for that person, and that rating affects your credit loans, your credit history rather. It affects your job possibilities. It affects what neighborhoods you can live in. So like imagine if Facebook and likes and social currency was real currency essentially, and it really impacted your life. So she's kind of like this woman obsessed with always improving her rating, and sort of living this fake life where it's all about that. And then there's again a big twist that happens. That one's really good. Conversely, there's one that I just got through watching. I think it's Most Hated in the Nation. Oh God, is it? Hang on. Nation's Most Hated. It's something like that. It's one of the British ones because again they split it between an American cast and a British cast. It's not great. It's just clunky and weird and not in a good way. It just looked like my first writing project. Just like.
Well, do they bring on different directors for each episode? Is that kind of how it works?
That is I'm going to guess for season 3 at least they have to, because they look so different
But it's all sort of auteur, kind of like it's like one major creator, right?
Yeah, well, so the guy, so I'm pulling it up now. The guy, Charlie Brooker, is the kind of the guy who created it, wrote all the season 1 and season 2 episodes. He had a hand in a lot of the season 3 stuff. In fact, I'm looking on Netflix. Sorry, I'm looking on Wikipedia. He wrote 2 of season 1. He wrote all 3 of season 2, and he wrote the Christmas special, and he wrote most of season 3. But then, bizarrely, Rashida Jones and Mike Schur co-wrote episode 1 of season 3.
Oh, that's right. I did know that Rashida Jones was a writer on one of the episodes. That's pretty cool.
It's so bizarre, and you can kind of, once you know that, season 1 kind of takes on a whole new dimension where you're like, oh, interesting. Mike Schur, for those who don't know, is a co-writer on The Office, co-creator of Parks and Rec, and he also plays Dwight's cousin Mose in The Office. So that's Mike Schur. So Mose and Karen co-wrote episode 1 of season 3, but then Charlie Brooker wrote all the other ones. But yeah, it's a different director, and it doesn't look like they ever repeat. So it's all very, I guess, directors from previous seasons will come back, but there's never a season where the same director. In fact, the only one who comes back is Owen Harris, it looks like. The one that I hated in the Nation is the name of the episode that I just couldn't get through. Now, there's another one in season 3 called Shut Up and Dance, which stars this kid I've never heard of and Bronn from Game of Thrones. And it is amazing. I don't want to spoil the setup.
How many episodes are in season 3? Because the first 2 seasons were just like 3 episodes each, right?
Yeah, very British first. Yeah. This one's 6. So my guess is this is like a co-production with Netflix and some, the BBC.
Well,
or whoever.
I'll tell you honestly, and it's great that you bring this up on the election night, anything but the election night podcast, which is that the chief reason I've avoided even dipping my toes into season 3 is because I kept seeing people on Twitter make comments along the lines of, "Oh my God, just when I thought this election wasn't stressful enough, I went and watched Black Mirror," and I thought, I am not putting any more unwanted anxiety in my life. So let's just table the show until after this fucking election.
It's what it is. In some weird way, it's cathartic because you're like, God, at least our world isn't like this. Crazy as this is.
You haven't been flipping over to the Google tab, obviously.
At least, well, no, but it's just like, there's shit that happens in Black Mirror where you're like, good God, like that. And it's just within the realm of possibility, right? Like all the stuff that happens technologically isn't like some far-fetched Orson Scott Card story. This is like, this could happen in 10 years very easily, most of these things. Watching it with that sort of in mind, it's, I don't know, my absolute favorite one, the one that just sort of hooked me right into the show is called, I think, is it called White Bear? Hang on here. Yeah, White Bear, season 2, episode 2. I don't even know if I want to spoil this at all either, but it's like if you're gonna start anywhere.
So season 2, episode 2 is your favorite of all.
Yeah,
okay.
That was my gateway. Right. If you watch that and you're not on board, you're not gonna like any of these other ones. But if you watch that, like that one, that has all the earmarks of like the perfect Black Mirror episode.
Well, honestly, as amazing as it is that they started with that first episode of season 1, just because it's such a it's just everything you nothing you can possibly expect to be like a television series. But the second episode of season 1, I think, was a really good example of like that blend of sci-fi, horror, dystopia, kind of like a suspenseful thing. Did you watch that one?
Wait, which one?
It's called 15 Million Merits, the second episode in season 1. That was the one that really, like, I really enjoyed that one as much as it terrified me. But at least it was far enough away from actual reality that I was able to enjoy it. Whereas the first one was just very very real. Well,
yeah, that one's, in fact, if anything, that one put me off. 15 Million Merits put me off because it was so. That was like the only episode, I think, the entire series that is like, far future. That is more sort of speculative sci-fi.
Hello, Emily.
Is she here? Emily joined us.
Yes.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, there she is.
We were just talking Black Mirror. You know, trying to quell anxiety by talking about the most terrifying show on Netflix.
Oh, that seems a little counterproductive, but I'll go with it.
Thank you. But it's okay. It was, yeah. How are you holding up? What's going on? What are you imbibing? How are you coping? Get us out of this.
Okay, so so like this morning, right? Like I felt real cool. I went, I voted. I felt really good about doing my patriotic duty of trying to prevent a racist, sexist, Oompa Loompa crybaby from getting his tiny hands on our nuclear codes. I was feeling really good about that. So, but then as soon as the polls started to close, as soon as like the results kind of started to trickle in, I went into like full panic attack mode where I was like sitting at my desk at work, like where I'd forget to breathe for like a little bit. And then all of a sudden I would like let out a breath and like all the dudes in the office would be like, "Are you dying? What's happening?" And I'm like, "Yes, I'm dying inside." So it's fine.
Yeah, I had this humorous. This is Emily Kelly. Emily is on the podcast Assembly of Geeks.
Hi.
Is a one of the co-creators of Wrong Button Media, I believe is what you call it. Did I get that right?
Correct. Yeah.
And you can find her at that Emily Kelly on Instagram and Twitter. I don't know where to go from there. I will say when I had this stupid dream of doing a live podcast, I made what I thought was sort of a funny schedule of, we'll check in on this election every 30 minutes and sort of do a funny like, what's your anxiety level? What glass of wine are you on? And as Taylor and I've been talking Black Mirror, I keep flipping over to the Google tab in my browser and like
don't do that.
Quietly losing my mind while Taylor's telling me about some really terrifying episodes. So
let's not talk about that though. I want to talk about LA Comic-Con because you both went.
Good idea. Thank you.
Yes.
I have never gone, and I want to live vicariously through you guys. So give me the lowdown of good old LA Comic-Con.
Well, I'm not sure if the first year had Stan Lee's name on it, but the second year definitely had Stan Lee's name. It was Stan Lee's Kamikaze. And then the third and fourth year, I believe, it was Stan Lee and Elvira produce
really?
Kamikaze.
Yeah.
Which was weird.
Yeah,
and at the same time, Long Beach Comic Con had become the Long Beach and Horror Comic Con. I guess they thought these two audiences were really going to blow things out of proportion.
Mutually exclusive. Yeah.
Then this year it became LA Comic Con, and I would say that the feel was kind of the same. Emily, what was your impression? What was your overall impression of it? How many times have you gone?
Yeah. This is so we started going to Kamikaze in like the second year. So this would be like our fourth or fifth year going.
I think it started in 20.
I mean, it didn't really feel, so it didn't really feel that, it did feel a lot bigger.
Now, do you think that was bigger like exhibitor-wise or attendance-wise?
I think it was both attendance and I mostly mean bigger like in the level of celebrities that came. They had Mike Coulter from Luke Cage. They had a bunch of the CW superhero shows like Danielle Pambaker and gosh, I forget the names, like Dominic from he's Captain the fire guy, the Captain Cold's opposite fire guy.
Heatwave.
Why I'm obviously very anxious because I can't remember superhero names.
Oh god.
Like brain not functioning. So yes, but I mean it didn't feel really any that different. I mean it's still Stan Lee, who I saw in person, like from 50 feet away, by the way. And I tried to wave at him, but I was too scared.
Was he on stage when you saw him?
No, he was. So we were like on Sunday, we were like up. I don't know if you've ever been to the LA Convention Center, those who are listening. So they have these like steps, stairs to these like veranda sort of things. And they're really good for like taking pictures. So we were up there because I was in cosplay. We were taking some pictures. And so like they they were bringing him to the stage, like from wherever the backstage area was. So there's like, he came in on this little golf cart with his people, and like just they ushered him right into the door. So we were like one staircase away from him, which I would assume is like 50 feet. So, and he looks very small in person. But
I did see him on stage on Saturday for whatever that panel was. So Taylor, for you, since you have never been, one of the really unique things that Kamikaze has done, and they've changed it a little bit through the years, but in the main exhibit hall, they put a big stage there, and they do you can call them panels, but they're often more audience pleasing than that. I saw some of the Game of Thrones cast a couple of years ago, but it's right there in the main hall, so it's not like you have to go stand in line and wait to get into a room and sort of take you out of the exhibit hall. You just turn around and there they are on the Hot Topic stage.
Oh, so, cool.
Yeah. What else? I mean, Emily, I'm trying to think of other unique things about LA Comic Con, which make it worth going to. What else would you name?
I mean, just having Stan Lee there is pretty unique. He doesn't do a ton of appearances anymore. He does like the big ones when he has stuff, but it is cool that it has his name on it, and he's definitely going to be there. I kind of like how they do their like. I know he's 93 and still
93,
man. Like I can't believe it.
Oh my god!
I can't believe it. Like it blows my mind. Like it's amazing.
Yeah, I always think of him in the context. Did you ever see that episode of The Simpsons where he shows up as himself at the comic book store, and he doesn't ever leave. Like he doesn't leave. Like he shows up to like give Bart some encouragement, and like Bart comes back later in the episode, and he's like, Stan Lee's there, like still like horsing around. And he like goes up to comic book guy. He's like, Stan Lee's still here, and he's like, Stan Lee never left. And then like cuts back to Stan Lee. It comes back to Stan Lee, who brings up, like, this little kid brings up this Batmobile to the counter, and he goes, I'd like to have this Batmobile. I was like, oh no, Spider friend, you want this. And he takes like the thing, like the toy of the thing, and jams it into the Batmobile. He's like, look, it fits perfectly. And he's like, the kid's like, you broke it. He's like, broke it or made it better? And then like he sidles over to the spinner racks and takes all the DC comics that are in the spinner racks and puts Marvel copies like all over the place. And just like that's how I always like to think of Stan Lee, and that's what I would assume if he were just allowed to, roam the floor. It'd be a lot like that at the conference.
Probably.
Does he? What's the biggest difference between like Kamikaze and San Diego Comic Con, or any of those like other known ones that you guys have been to?
Well, it's like way less crazy. Like, it's like, I mean, it did seem like there's a lot more people there than past years, but it was still like not even ever on the level that San Diego Comic Con is. The parking is still equally as frustrating.
Bingo.
That's just LA. It's just LA traffic. It's always like that.
Well, but it's that, my friend Eric Coda, whom we had on our Comic-Con wrap-up, we did a podcast with him because he was in Artist Alley for the first time, and he would tell me these crazy stories about going to San Diego Comic-Con when he was in college and literally parking in, like he drove into the convention center parking and then took an escalator upstairs to the convention hall. And I mean, it feels dumb to say that, but the parking garage by which I had to line up to get my badge to get into Kamikaze was where I parked 4 years ago.
Jesus.
Like I used to just park, on the other side of the convention center and just walk in. And so this year was really frustrating. Like it was, if you didn't book parking in advance, it was awful. So
for sure, I did it by an app, and it was so easy. So if you're ever going to go to a convention at LA Convention, get an app. I don't remember what the app's name is, but it's so easy.
What about the selection, like the vendors, the booths, that kind of stuff? Is there anything new or interesting or unique to Kamikaze that you wouldn't necessarily see at SDCC?
Well, Stan Lee usually has his like Stan Lee Co. or whatever, his corporation usually does something. Which I don't think they do a lot. But other than that, I mean, a lot of it's LA local. So not every artist can afford to travel. So that's kind of cool. A lot of the artists and comic book people and vendors, like, t-shirt vendors and that kind of stuff, a lot of them are LA people. So sometimes, like, I only see some people at LA Comic-Con because they don't travel or they can't afford to travel. So that's kind of cool, I think.
And I don't know that you can say the vendors are necessarily heavily cosplay, but it's very easy to see that there's a lot of costuming vendors there. And the cosplay itself, I think, was, like, percentage-wise, way more widespread at Kamikaze than at San Diego this year.
Oh, for sure. I totally agree. And I mean, it could just be like a numbers game,
Possibly, yeah.
I mean, as a cosplayer, I know I figured out this year by going to Comic-Con that it's really hard to move around in the exhibit hall in a cosplay that is, anything less than normal clothes or more than normal clothes. So with Kamikaze, the space is bigger. There's not as many people. But I saw so many great cosplays this LA Comic-Con.
For the folks at home, remind us, what were you dressed as?
Was Judy Hopps from Zootopia with Peter, my fiance. He was Nick Wilde. And oh my God, you guys. So on Sunday, I was Red Sonja. So Red Sonja is like my main cosplay that I do. It's like kind of how most people might know me from cosplay. So obviously, if you've ever seen my cosplay, I mean, I'm half naked because it's Red Sonja, and I carry around a severed head. So, I'm not exactly like child-friendly approachable. But there's this really cute little girl who I always see at LA Comic-Con. Her name is Amelia, funnily enough. And she loves Red Sonja and always wants to touch the head and, like, takes pictures with me and, like, brought the picture of us together to show and tell at her school. Super duper cute. So to be Judy Hopps on Saturday and have these, like, little, like, we were, like, walking down the street from lunch and we just hear, like, this little child's voice yell out of a car, Judy! Like, oh my God, it was, like, the greatest moment of my life. Like, I knew I'd made it. Like, where little kids came up to us and adults as well, but little kids, like, came right up to us at the convention, like, Judy and Nick. Like, they knew exactly who they were or who we were. And, like, one kid, like, was, like, super into Peter or into Nick, like, Nick, why do you think Mr. Big doesn't like you? And Peter's like,
wow.
Why do you think he doesn't like me? And the little boy's like, I don't know, because you gave him that skunk grug. And we're like, yeah, I totally forgot about it because we watched that movie on a plane, like, super jet lagged. Like, we forgot.
Now you gotta be. This is good because you got to be careful when you don the costume of another person. You've got to be ready to be that person. I know this full well because 14, 15 years ago, for 2 weeks, I was Abraham Lincoln at Mount Rushmore, and I thought I knew enough about Abraham Lincoln to pull that off, and I did not. I had people coming up to me with, like, every bit of random trivia. I had, like, Confederate, like, believers coming up to me, like, grabbing me by the arm, forcibly going, you had no right to do what you did. I'm just like, okay, I guess. Like, okay. What? And so I've just, ever since then, I'm like, man, I'm never going to do this again. I'm going to take this seriously. What did you guys do in terms of, like, did you have bunny ears? How far did you get into it?
Yeah, we tried to keep it, like, mostly humanoid. So I had, like, bunny ears and a bunny tail, and Peter had a fox tail and fox ears, but the fox ears were really poorly made, and so he actually lost one in, like, throughout, like, middle of the day. He lost an ear, and just, like, 20 minutes after we realized, oh gosh, we lost one of the ears and we couldn't find it, like, it wasn't on the ground anywhere, we ran into another couple as Judy and Nick. And the other Nick had actually also lost an ear, the same ear. Wow. And it was like he bought the same, like, no, right? And he bought, like, the same eBay, little cheapy ears or whatever. And so Peter, like, gave him his other ear, like, do good, child, like, go do good with 2 ears, So
that's sort of
like,
sad.
We didn't do it. I know, it was just like, here, young blood, take my second ear.
You must go on without me.
Yes.
Todd.
So, but that couple had a lot more, like, makeup done, like, where they looked more like a fox and bunny, but we just kind of looked like really kawaii versions of fox and bunny.
Todd, for our listeners at home, you've never cosplayed, have you?
Not to a Comic-Con. I mean, I've been around the house.
Halloween doesn't really count.
But you've taken.
I was in a music video dressed as Batman for a story about a cosplayer, but no, I have not.
But you've taken. I remember in Comic-Con's past, you've taken like photos of cosplayers, and you've kind of done that. What's the most impressive thing either of you have ever seen? And you could include it. It could be your own creation if that suits you.
Oh my gosh.
We're just like, I mean jaw dropping, where you're like, you just want to slow clap right there and then, like, this is
the thing. I mean, unfortunately, the things that I slow clap about are not the technically impressive. Even though it's like technically impressive. There's almost no human interaction with them because it's like the little kid I saw as an ATST at Long Beach Comic Con this year, where he was like a working cardboard of the two-legged, like, Planet Hoth from Empire Strikes Back, like, robot thing. Not robot, but the there's the AT-ATs, the four-legged ones, and he was a little two-legged one. That was unbelievable. But the ones that I slow clap to are when someone is like, and it's funny because I am not a big enough anime fan or at all to care about this when people do, like, I'm in this costume from this episode. But when people do that with just the other geek stuff that I'm into, like when I see Archer, Sterling Archer in the dress, I can't remember the name of it. When there's in season 3, he like runs away and he's working on an island, and so he has like a beard and he has like a Hawaiian shirt. And when I see a guy in that, and I'm like, oh, that's that guy as Archer when he was in disguise as this other guy. That's what always blows me away.
The ultra meta
where you're like, there's like, when there's something underneath it. And I know there was some, like the other, just last year probably at San Diego, I stopped this guy and I was like just gawking over his outfit, and I like took a picture, and I'm talking to him about like, yeah, you're Poyo. That's so awesome, because Poyo's this famous like cyborg chicken in the comic book Chew that like fights crime. And I was like, man, I can't believe you're just this, like, what a deep cut, to be dressed as Poyo the chicken. And then and the guy is like, he's got a chicken mask on. I can't see his face, but he keeps going, yeah, Poyo, it means chicken. And I'm like, this is not the same conversation. We're not having the same conversation here, guy. You're Poyo. That's amazing. And then, of course, I get home and like look at my pictures, and I guess there's something called like Super Robot Chicken or something, and that's what he is dressed as. And so the whole time he thinks I'm speaking like broken English with Spanish, where I keep going like Poyo.
Oh my god.
What about you, Emily? What blows you away?
Well, like, I'm super impressed because I'm such a noob still. Like my Red Sonja is probably the most technically good cosplay I've ever put together. Like, I mean, it's all like hand woven scales and hand sewn on the thing. So it's like an effort on my part. So I'm really impressed, especially like the people who make these big armor sets, like over the weekend at BlizzCon, like just, stalking everyone's BlizzCon photos of like these big, like, Diablo armor sets and like WoW armor sets. Like, I have no idea how to do any of that, and it's always like super duper impressive to me, because especially when they look so perfect, when it really does look like they could be wearing real armor. I think that for me, I had a slow clap moment at LA Comic-Con where a girl came up to us to take our picture, and then she's like a cute little, and she had this trash can, and on the trash can it had all these anime pictures. So after she took her picture, I go, are you anime trash? And she goes, yeah, that's exactly what I am. I'm like, I laughed for like 5 minutes. I was like, that is the greatest costume I've ever witnessed. Like, because I say that like all the time, I say like, oh, I'm BioWare trash, or I'm anime trash, or like whatever. And it was just, I never seen anyone do that like that way. And I like laughed about it like later. Like, I'm like giggling to myself in the hotel room, like, anime trash with a trash can.
So it's the clever stuff that
and
really
it was good.
I guess both of you, it seems like the clever stuff really sort of like strikes a chord.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Emily, how do you, like in between cons, do you find yourself doing a lot of sort of maintenance on the Red Sonja costume or on other costumes? Are you constantly improving it?
I mean, I did, like, there was a period between, like, for like 2 years when I first did the Red Sonja cosplay at like WonderCon 2000 to like WonderCon 2014 or 15, where I did try to add stuff like every convention that I went to. So It was like the first iteration I had like nothing, basically. It was just the bikini. And then the next time was Kamikaze, and I had a shoulder armor piece. And then the next time, then I had a sword. It's the first time. And then I had then I brought the head in to things. And then I made this axe, and then I did this other shoulder armor piece, and then we made this battle skirt. So there was like a 2-year period where I did try to make things continuing the cosplay. I still plan to, but that's really the only one I've added stuff to. And the only other thing I really have to do every time is I have to wash it, which is really hard because it cannot go in the washer and dryer. It's literally metal scales. Yeah. So I just kind of have to like dunk it in the sink and like, you know, kind of clean off the scales, because especially if I use the blood, it leaves this like bloody residue. So, but other than that, it just, all my costumes just like sit in our guest room closet, like till they're or just like on the floor, you know, somewhere in a bag, stuffed in a bag somewhere till they need it again.
I imagine, some of those big costumes that people can't wash get a little gamey.
Oh yeah, I don't even know like sorry, I'm eating pizza.
Me too.
Like
Sorry.
There's one guy, gosh, I forget his name. He builds these crazy big armor builds. And I got to see it up close finally, national championships at last Kamikaze. He does the Iron Man suit, and he won, obviously. Okay. And and so like he can only wear it for like 10 minutes because it's like it's so huge. Yeah, he like stands on stilts. It's super duper heavy. And I think he also built, unless this is a different guy, he also built a Reinhardt suit from Overwatch for So I just don't know, like, he must have a massive garage somewhere or like a storage space, because like where do you keep that?
Yeah, and
what do you do?
Although I don't know what Reinhardt looks like, there was one guy that I passed this year. I mean, I just can't do justice to how huge this armor suit was. It might have been that guy. He was probably 8 feet tall in the suit, you know, and had several people around him, like they were kind of staging it for a photo. And I'm going, how does he even move around? You know, I mean, he had to get where he was in the venue, but it was just ludicrous. Like it's huge. So
yeah.
Shifting topics for a moment. Well, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I'd point out one really cool thing about LA Comic-Con is that the sort of main atrium to the convention center is open. I mean, that is the Comic-Con atrium. Like there was some other convention going on there the weekend of, but it was down the hall and like a sort of side entrance, you know. So it's not like they keep that main room clear for all the conventions to use. It's just Comic-Cons, and so that it's beautiful lighting. It's like all skylights above, so it's all this natural light, and so it's like cosplay, heaven. Like you can just stand down there and get, like meet or take pictures or just show off your own cosplay. Like it's really incredible, and I think that really sets LA Comic-Con apart.
Yeah, that's true. Because like most people, even if you don't go into the convention, like I just loiter around there sometimes. Like we just hang out there for like 3 hours and get a bunch of pictures taken, or like that's where you meet your cosplay friends or your con friends, and then you just continue on your way. It's a great space and great for pictures. Definitely.
It really makes it like cosplay friendly. Whereas like San Diego, you think about one thing you pointed out, Emily, in our Comic-Con wrap up from the summer was you knew a lot of cosplayers who would sort of get in costume, go down and walk the floor and have like a photo shoot set up and then go back and change, for the rest of the day. Because it's just so hot and so many crowds, there's no like good space to sort of just go chill out have pictures taken of you and meet people and all that stuff. And
is it weird they don't do like a fashion show runway kind of thing for
They do.
cosplay at this.
Well, they do.
Yeah, but even like make it more of a prime time sort of. It feels like that, almost like prom. You know, if you ever went to prom in high school, like the grand march was like everybody shows up and then everybody basically ditches immediately after and goes off and dresses down and does something else. Like it seems like they could almost be that where it's like, let's get our costumes on, okay, everybody, and now the rest of the con we'll just relax and do our thing. And or would that ruin the atmosphere if it was so?
I mean, that would probably be really fun. I think some cons should do that. If you're listening, con people.
Yeah, I wonder what I always wonder what how the coordination goes in. Ever gets put in place in those places where you're thinking of panels and where you want people to be and how the traffic organizes, or if they just degaff about all that stuff and they're just like let the crowds trample each other trying to make it to these events. But I think Kamikaze at least would be a great place for that because of that main stage atmosphere. And I know it seems like they did have a geek fashion show. I believe it was at 4 p.m. on Saturday. So that was pretty much prime time for that kind of thing.
Okay.
But I didn't stick around for it. I just can't really gauge. Like, I just sort of noticed they were setting up for it.
Did anybody dress as Doctor Strange?
Oh, constantly.
Yes.
But actually, that's just been like a great Marvel costume for a while now, and it's not like overpopulated or something. So I can't say that I saw more because of the movie, and I can't say that I saw any movie Doctor Stranges. But
so when you say movie, because the movie Doctor Strange costume is much more of like a gi than a sort of like magician suit that I think he's sort of in this traditional comic look.
Sure.
Do you
Should
see
we just talk about Doctor Strange now?
Yeah, because I've seen it.
We've all
Todd,
seen it.
We've all seen it. Excellent. Well, let's jump in. I guess in 10 words or less. Give me your.
I didn't hear how many words you said, so.
in just a handful of words.
Okay.
Give me
140
sort of
characters.
Exactly. Give me your tweet reaction to the movie.
Emily?
Super fun. Made me slightly nauseous in like one part because of the trippiness. I would like to have a cape wipe my tears always. Excuse me, a cloak.
There you go.
Also, that Rachel McAdams. Fantastic. Actually, everyone was fantastic. Strike that one. Everyone was fantastic, but I particularly liked everyone, including Rachel McAdams. She was great.
Todd?
I'll just say excellent. I mean, yeah, I loved it.
I'll be more of the grump.
Okay.
And say
Taylor.
Spectacular visuals, subpar story.
Really?
Meaning, and here's my deal, because I had sort of an extended discussion with a friend offline about this, and they're like, "What? How can you say that?" I'm like, bar none, the best use of CGI in any Marvel movie ever. If this thing doesn't win an Oscar for visual effects, there is who knows what's wrong with the world. But
no justice.
There's no justice. So that part, I mean, for that alone, it reminded me a lot of Tron Legacy in that respect, which is just like you could, tune out everything else and just watch it and be like, wow. But you watch these long enough and you start to see the same origin story beats again and again, and it sort of starts to feel like white noise after a while. Where you're like, okay, and then all right, and it's just like, I don't know. And maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just like jaded to it now. But I just feel like we've seen this story before, and especially with Marvel movies, like we've seen like the cocky rich genius needs to get in an accident to learn about why he's a cocky genius and what he can do to help the world. And it's just like we've seen, and there's like kind of a thinly veiled villain. I think that if they had made Mad Mikkelsen's character, if they'd given him more to do, I might have been a bit more sympathetic. And I didn't don't get me wrong, I didn't hate it in any way, shape, or form. I just remember walking in the theater going, God, that was gorgeous. Man, I don't know if there's anything about the story that I would say that's new or that I was like really jazzed about. That's just me.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. It was like a typical hero's journey story, for sure. I mean, definitely cliche, but that's just kind of comic books. I mean, it's the same kind of thing. But I think for me, as predictable as it was still like the elements of mysticism and magic and this like super powerful multi-dimensional demon or whatever he is, like Dormammu, made it at least still pretty interesting.
I'll give you that. Would you, at this juncture, would either of you think Marvel could be gutsy and give us a new hero and just dispense with the origin story? I know Spider-Man's getting that treatment, but that's kind of a weird outlier. Like if they were gonna, with Black Panther, for example, like, do we need to see how Black Panther came to be, or can we just drop in on him, fully formed, and get like a flashback or two if we need to? I
think there's kind of two questions there, which is one, can they just drop a hero into the mix, which I would freaking love, and that's what I rave about every time we do see it. Like, I thought the Luke Cage thing was a great example of where they dropped him in, and it was like 3 or 4 episodes in before they even start the flashbacks to like how he, got his powers, and I love that. I like tell that origin story like later on in a flashback or in some clever, way. Just like we just need to see the action, and have the human element without necessarily hitting all of the well-worn like story beats. But then the second question you're asking is like, maybe can they just tell that story in a I don't know. Can they alter that story? Maybe that's not the question you're answering. I just hear it as like, I would love it sometimes. I think Doctor Strange, for example, I think they could have altered the origin story to make it more interesting and like divert it from the comics. That said, I don't really know what the comics origin story is, but Emily, weigh in on that if you like.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a very roundabout question. But speaking of Luke Cage, that's really what I liked about Jessica Jones, is that her hero times were already done when we came into the story. And they just kind of, they do flashbacks a little bit about, her like experiencing her powers and whatever for the first time. But for the most part, it was like you came into her story and she was like, no, I did this already. Like, I'm a hero. I was a hero and it sucked and I don't want to do it anymore. So I'm doing something else. So I really appreciated that about that series, as hard as it was of a series to watch for other reasons. But story fatigue is really,
let me ask you this. With Rachel McAdams, because I agree, she was fantastic. She was charming every time she was on set. By the way, Tilda Swinton almost stole this whole goddamn movie away from Cumberbatch. Like, she's
my god,
you're gonna get that with
she is such a queen
in anything. But with Rachel McAdams, do you think we needed one? It felt like we needed one more moment with her kind of near the end, because once he leaves the hospital, kind of that last time again, like we never really catch up with her, and I feel like we just needed. There was so much weight put on their relationship in the beginning. Like, before his accident, after his accident, he yells at her, I really kind of wanted like a little stinger at the end where she sees him be, she sees him be a hero, or she sees him sacrifice himself, or something where she's like, and not that they have to kiss or anything like that, but just something where she's like, he has changed, or he is getting better. Or she recognizes that sort of evolution as a character. Did you feel that, or am I just being picky?
I kind of liked the way that they did it, because so many of the Marvel movies, and just like, hero movies and movies in general, they put so much stock into this relationship aspect of things. And I kind of liked that, again, that the relationship was over by the time we met them, and that obviously it had ended badly, and that it ended because it was his fault. Like, that she was like, no, dude, like, I'm a successful doctor also. Like, I don't need to take your crap, guy. And I like that in the end, even though she had seen him change a little bit, obviously he was in this crazy outfit and, like, trying to save this bald lady. Like, it's definitely a different from what he was before. but that she was still like, no, man, you hurt me, and that's not the way that the world works, because that's what movies kind of tell us. Of like, oh, he's changed, you should just get back together with him automatically. And I liked that they had her be like, I have more self-respect.
Mm-hmm.
I respect myself more than that, and maybe something will happen with us later, but for the time being, you hurt me, you disappeared for all these months or years or whatever it was, and now you show up and you ghost fight, and like you're bleeding all the time, and you're in this weird blue cape outfit. Like,
fair enough.
No, bro.
I feel you. Because it is strange. He doesn't really explain much. I mean, he doesn't really give her the whole like backstory of how he can do all that stuff, right? He just sort of like.
No.
He just like Jack Bauer's it. Like, there's no time to answer questions. But I have 10,000 things I need you to do.
I'm back. No time. Shh. Bye. And it's like, okay, I guess. I'm reminded, by the way, I saw this in IMAX 3D, and oh my God. Yeah. Like, if you saw it in 2D or if you saw it in just regular 3D, like if you can find yourself an IMAX theater, go and see this in that format. Very rarely will I even suggest that, because so many movies are it's just like a money grab, but I feel like this was creatively meant for that space.
Well, how did you see it, Emily?
In like regular 2D, mostly because I wear glasses, so 3D is hard for me. But I'm kind of glad I didn't see it in 3D, because in the part like where Doctor Strange tries to like trap Caecilius.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Caecilius, in the mirror space, and then Caecilius is like, "Joke's on you, fool! I can still manipulate things in this mirror realm." And so it's like that one part where there's like everything is moving, and they're on this catwalk thing, and then everything. I got a little motion sick.
Yeah.
And I hardly ever get motion sick watching. So I feel like if I had watched it in 3D, I would have thrown up. So I'm glad I didn't. But if someone can assure me I will not throw up, I will probably maybe see it again like that.
I cannot make that assurance, but I did see it in 3D, not IMAX, and I have a bone to pick with many 3D theaters where the and I don't know what the hell I'm talking about here, but my guess is that there's not enough light coming through the projector, because often 3D movies they're just too dark. I had the same experience at Batman versus Superman, and I can tell. I'm sure that it is like I just feel like certain that it's a setting on the projector. Like the guy could just crank it up, because if I take the glasses off, I can just although it's just nonsense that I'm staring at, there's more light to the picture, and so. I just think there's like a combination of like the light plus those glasses that, it's like wearing sunglasses in a theater. And so the very, very first few scenes were just very dark for me. Although the 3D did feel really natural, and even in those really effect-heavy places, like it didn't feel super CG'd. Obviously it's CG, but it didn't feel phony. Like it still felt like kind of grounded in there. So,
what about?
I'm sure every time there's a pause in the conversation, one of us has clicked over to Google and is like, "Oh dear God, what the fuck?"
Shit, I was looking at it right now.
No,
I just did that when Emily was talking, and then I was like, "Oh, 3D. I have a comment about this."
Resist. What my other question is, in terms of the casting, did you feel that Benedict Cumberbatch was too safe of a choice? Did he work really? Was he perfect as a choice? Would you rather have seen somebody else?
Marvel has such a good track record of finding these people, and I think it was definitely an obvious choice. Just in terms of talent and general look and feel. But the same goes for Robert Downey Jr. and Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury. They literally talked to Samuel Jackson in the 90s or early 2000s of like, we're going to make Nick Fury black and we want him to look like you. Then he gets cast in the Marvel movies.
Doesn't the legend go that he said yes only on the condition that he would be cast if a movie was ever made? Like, it seems like he either made that up or that is true. Either way, like I
I would assume that's true.
Hasselhoff's contract had expired.
No, but I'm saying when they went to Sam Jackson because
Yeah.
they needed to get him to sign off on his likeness, right? And I think what he's like, I'll do that, but I get to be in the movies if you guys ever make a movie. And they're like, okay.
Yeah, so jokes on you, Marvel, because now he has like a 9-movie contract or something. So I think it was just a perfect piece of castings, very similar to like Donald Glover being cast as Lando Calrissian. The internet was like, this is the guy, and Marvel's like, you're right, or Disney was like, absolutely.
What about his
I really liked him. I think he was good.
Do you think his accent held up?
Actually, I didn't hate it. I mean, it's just weird to hear American come out of his face.
Yeah.
You know?
It sounded a lot like House, right? It reminded me a lot of Hugh Laurie. And it made me go, too, like, why couldn't they have just let him? He could have been British as long as he's living in New York. He doesn't have to be American. So it was strange that they made, pun intended, that they made him go to that effort because it's not like you know who has the best freaking American accent of any British actor I've ever seen?
Gary Oldman.
Jude Law. Well, Gary Oldman too, but Jude Law. Gary Oldman, you can't put in any of these lists or questions because he's kind of like so amazing. He like lives in like some other netherworld where he's he can never be number one. He is the alpha and the omega of an actor. No, but Jude Law. I was rewatching this little American movie called I Heart Huckabees with Jude Law, and he's just like, I don't know, he's so good at it. And then you hear Cumberbatch and he's trying, but I'm like, man, just let him do his British thing. It's just, he's so close, It just seemed weird that they would make him do that, but that's,
Yeah, I don't know. But I didn't hate it. It was just sort of like I'm watching his face move and I'm like, no, this is not correct.
Maybe it was one thing. I mean, it is a very Sherlocky kind of character. There's the arrogance, the intelligence. He even he even flares his cape collar at one point. Very Sherlock-esque, and I'm like, okay, so maybe the British accent was just one step too far. It would just be like Sherlock with magic at that point. So like, we got to do something to make it a little different.
He's
so they can't change it because in the comics he's American. They absolutely cannot change that.
Oh, I mean the ancient one is Asian in the comics, and they
obviously being facetious.
They skirted that. Like, she's Celtic now. It's like,
I know.
All right.
Yeah, okay, that sounds fantastic.
That line where they say that sounded so just so funny and obvious. Like, she's Celtic, and also, that totally
like, okay,
away. Like, no, we're not mad anymore.
Like, no, wait, why? Why is she Celtic? Oh, just cause reasons, and
there's reasons for this.
We don't want to talk about it.
She's Tilda. We don't need a reason. She's Tilda Swinton, for God's sake. It's like, okay,
just look at her beautiful angel face, okay?
Yeah. When you called her a queen earlier, I thought you had said
literal queen.
Clean, and I thought you were referring to
what?
being like a Mr. Clean because her head was so bald.
Baldness. That would have been funnier. I was just giving her a compliment.
Fascinated by. I was looking at that bald head all the time because it is super.
Yeah, she looked good too. Yeah, she looked good still.
It's hard to take your eyes off of Tilda Swinton in anything. Like, she's just magnetic in that way, and yeah.
I was actually kind of disappointed that they didn't make her more androgynous. That was like my only thing, that they refer to her as female pronouns, which is fine, but I just kind of think like what they originally had envisioned for it is because they're gender bending anyway, that maybe she was going to be a bit more, that they would just call her always the ancient one, or just like,
that's an interesting idea.
Well, I'm so glad.
Besides the entire, changing of her history.
You know what's interesting about that comment? Did either of you see Snowpiercer?
No.
Oh my God.
I know. Still
Go watch that this weekend, especially given the current status of the election. It might be more prescient. Go watch Snowpiercer. She is in that, and she's brilliant in that too. But apparently, that character was meant for a male actor. So there's all like he and him and his pronouns throughout the entire thing. Well,
they didn't change it.
They cast her and they left that all in. So they refer to her character as him and his and Mr. and like it's so interesting. Or they refer to her as Sir quite a few times in Snowpiercer. So it's just interesting to see that juxtaposition, and it tweaks the character that she plays a little bit more into the kind of bizarre in a good way. So it would have been, I like the idea of her as the Ancient One would have been also sort of neutral, like,
Yeah.
And they gave
have
her.
You ever seen Orlando too? Have you ever seen Orlando?
No.
Okay, so it's Tilda Swinton, and it's basically like she starts out the movie, I forget. She either starts out the movie as a man and then just like wakes up one day and she's a woman now, or vice versa.
Whoa.
And so it's like she plays both parts, and it was just like, they don't even talk about it really. It was just like all of a sudden she was a man and now the next day she's a woman. So when they cast her, I was like, oh, cool. Like, that's just kind of her bit.
Mm-hmm. I remember the trailer for this.
Yeah, I'm looking this up now, and I remember this too.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
Because it's weird.
That is crazy. Oh my god. Now I just want to see, like, I see scatterings of her as the White Queen in here too. Now I just want to see her in a Chronicles of Narnia sequel, because that, like many people, that was my first exposure to Tilda. And I was just like, even before the shitty Constantine movie with Keanu Reeves, I'd seen her in Chronicles of Narnia, then I seen her in Constantine. I was like, oh, there's the White Queen. What is she doing in this? But she's, oh god. We'll announce right now the Tilda cast will be launching January 15th of 2017.
Us like sitting around complimenting her, like how great she is.
Most shocking role ever in Trainwreck.
Whoa, really?
Was she in that movie?
She's Amy Schumer's boss.
She's all beautiful and like sexy and stuff.
Really?
I love
But in like a weird, like over tanned, like over maintenance.
Oh my god, is that her?
Yeah.
What?
It's bizarre. Plus the lines that she has are so crazy. So it's like the opposite of Tilda Swinton.
Holy crap. I would never. I'm so glad you said that, because I'm going to end up watching that movie by circumstance and then not even realize that's her and be like, this will pass me by.
I can't say that it's an argument for watching that movie.
That's interesting. I love the first video on Google is, how did Tilda Swinton end up in Trainwreck?
I mean, seriously, when she showed up, I was like, what in the hell am I watching?
Wow.
So
have I died? Where am I? I want to talk about what y'all are reading, because I know we have some good stuff on our lists, and I'm always looking for this.
I also, I had such an ambitious idea that I would actually finish these comic
new
books
on your list, comics wise, book wise. What you reading? Did we lose you?
No, wait. Can you not hear us? I'm talking.
Todd, can you still hear me?
Uh-oh, we lost Taylor, Emily.
Oh no, I could hear. I could hear.
There we go. No, I'm here.
Hear
Sorry about that.
I think Taylor just muted himself.
No, there was a.
Stop muting yourself.
No. There's a latency issue.
Yeah, I was overly ambitious in what I put on that list. I was like, yeah, I'll read all these by the end of the weekend, and then I didn't. So, Emily, you and I are both reading Batgirl and the Birds of Prey. What issue are you on, and what are you thinking about it?
Okay, so I only read the first one because I had to order. So our local comic book store went out of. I know our local comic book store went out of business, and so like I have to order it now, and so I just forgot. And so then finally, like on Twitter the other day, Shauna Benson, one of the writers, because I follow them, said like, "Oh, the 4th episode is all about the Huntress," and I'm like, "Okay, I obviously have to order all the other issues that I've missed." There's only 2 issues that I've missed, or 3, including number 4. So I will get to them. But obviously, the Huntress is my favorite character of all time. So I am loving it that they've brought her back, and that it's an all-female team. And, well, at least the writers. And I just love it. It's like feels like my best friends came back into town. Like they were all hanging out together. You know, like if this is how it's meant to be. And Huntress just kicking ass and taking names. I might cry a little bit.
It's a good spin on it. I actually thought you would be ahead of me because I have number 4, but have not read it, and I've read 1, 2, and 3. I believe that's right. 4 is out, right?
Oh.
4, right?
Next week,
so then I have.
I think, or maybe it's out.
No. Sorry, I have Batgirl number 4 that is sitting waiting for me. I believe. Right. Maybe that's 3. I don't even know, because something crazy happened in the Rebirth where I bought a bunch of Rebirth comics that were all called number 1, and then it wasn't actually the number 1 of the series.
Right.
But yeah, I haven't been following the Black Canary solo comic that was happening before Rebirth that got a lot of great reviews. But there have been,
too.
In addition to like the Huntress stuff, there's been like deep dives into some Black Canary like background, which is very cool in Birds of Prey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm very excited. They're coming to me.
Yeah, and it's a team we haven't seen before, because when the Birds of Prey existed prior to this, it was in this other timeline where Batgirl was Oracle, and I still don't really understand how they retconned all that. In this, she used to be Oracle briefly. Somehow she's 19 years old, but she's like owns a successful company and was also Oracle for a while, and was also paralyzed for a while. So the years don't really
care about timelines,
right?
Consistency and stuff. I mean, in like a good sum up, it was like in the Gail Simone Batgirl, she like does this experimental treatment where then she can use her legs again, and then in the Batgirl Burnside, they age her down a little bit. They age her back.
Good point. That's a good explanation.
So
I accept that.
Yeah, it's just sort of. I mean. With Rebirth, also, it's just sort of like they're like, no, nothing matters. Continuity sucks. This is very hard. So they just went with it.
I'm really liking. Are you reading Batgirl solo comic now?
Because I have such little access to my comics. I really got to get like the digital subscription, but I just, gaming is my one true love. So like when I come home from work, it's like, oh, I have 4 games I could play. Or I could order 15 comics,
Well, that's interesting because Taylor, are you reading mostly digital these days, or are you still doing like print trades?
Well, a little of both. So I purchased the trade paperback of Ancestor, which finally came out. They completed the series in, I think, issue 11 of Island. And then I've been hounding them on Twitter for a trade paperback, and they were already thinking about that anyway. And so I think Image liked it. It's such a bonkers series anyway. Like, it deserves its own trade paperback. So I bought that, but Comixology gave me a sweet little discount on Image titles. So I traded that in and ended up getting the digital version of 4-Letter Worlds, which is blowing my mind right now. Cause it's kind of like I had sort of gotten too busy to do a lot of reading in the last 2 weeks, but this has sort of pulled me back in. Cause I'm like, God dang, this is like a series of little short stories all in black and white, and they're fantastic. And I didn't even know this was an Image release. So
you bought this digitally? Yep. Through Comixology?
Yeah.
So is it a guided view comic?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, anytime I do digital, there was about a 4 or 5 month period where I would buy natively off of image.com or imagecomics.com,
right.
But now I just do everything on Comixology Amazon so that I can
it's all in the library.
Yeah, it's all there. That was my biggest thing. The Image stuff is just PDFs or files that didn't kind of organize in an optimal way for me. And I could just pull them down from the cloud whenever I wanted to. It makes it easier to kind of have everything right there. So yeah, I did Comixology's reader, and I've actually shifted a lot of my single issue buying to that as well. So I'm more now, if it's for collectible reasons or if it's just intrinsically really cool to purchase physically, I'll do so. But a lot of my sort of single issue stuff and even some of my trade stuff is all digital now.
Cool. I've done the thing that Taylor and I talk about. We go back and forth on, which is I probably was already fourth on this, and then I went back, and then now I'm back on the fourth thing again, where I bought a bunch of single issues and I have not read them, and I think that's it for single issues. I've just got to buy trades from now on. But what happened was I realized when I was buying the latest issue of Batgirl and Birds of Prey and Dark Knight 3, which is such a son of a bitch that I just, like, I feel at this point I'm like, I'm this deep into it, just get me out of this. I bought all these in Wonder Woman #1 and Teen Titans #1 or whatever it's called now, the New Titans or something, and I bought all those and I have not read them yet. And while I was buying them, I saw there were tons of trades that I want to get, including that Black Canary's been out for a while, but I didn't have the 3rd volume of the Batgirl Burnside, and Mockingbird trade just came out this last week, and there's a Black Widow trade that I was kind of interested in, and I just thought, okay, that's it. I just got to focus on trades. So we'll see how I am next month. but that's what's sitting on my bedside table right now. I bought DK3 number 6 or whatever it was, and confidently told my comic book store clerk that I had number 5, and I got home and realized I had not read number 5, so I had to go back and get number 5. So it's like I just feel so suckered by this book.
No.
But I'll see it through just to see what happens. Yeah, but Batgirl I've really been enjoying. I really like the artist on it, Raphael Albuquerque.
Is that his name? Raphael Albuquerque?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Isn't that a sweet name? It's like a perfect comic book artist name.
And I have like a huge Catwoman print that he did that I got from him at Comic-Con several years ago, and I didn't know anything else about him. And so when he showed up on this book, I was like, holy crap, I got to get that. So yeah, I'll pass the mic to someone else. Like Emily, are there other comics on your list, or are you amusing yourself in other ways? You mentioned video games.
Yeah, I mean, I play a lot of games. And I work in the industry, so it's kind of like it's kind of part of my job to like keep up with what is happening and now and stuff. But I mean, I'm also a really huge just novel reader. Like I devour books unless I get too caught up in other things like television. Like I also watch a lot of television, like probably way too much television. But we don't have cable,
but you're
right?
A cord
so we
cutter.
only have like Netflix and Hulu.
Yeah.
So it's like, so it's like retroactively, like watching. Like right now, the thing that I'm binging is Merlin. I don't know if you guys ever watched that BBC show.
Oh,
you mentioned
BBC. I thought this was a. You know what? I got it confused with Gallivant.
Oh, geez.
So
Merlin. Hit me to Merlin.
Yeah, so I've been binging Merlin, and it's like there was like a period where I had stuff to do over the weekend, so I didn't watch Merlin for like 3 days, and I was like starting to get itchy, like where I was like, my Merlin, like I have to watch Merlin. So really, that's how I've been amusing myself lately. Just a lot of Merlin and video games. Always video games. I always have like 4 video games that I'm playing simultaneously.
Can I ask you a quick question about Merlin?
Okay.
I understand that it's all sort of like prequel kinds of stuff, but do they ever show him old for any reason? Because I've never seen it. They do. What are the circumstances that he's old?
Actually.
Oh, it's a young Merlin.
Well, sorry, spoilers. Never seen Merlin before, but it doesn't give away the plot too much. But one of the instances. So I'm only in season. I'm not totally done yet. So what the first instance is that they have to like do this trickery where they have to like invent a sorcerer basically, and so they're like, oh, I'll do it. I'll just like take an aging potion. So then he's old, but it's still the same actor. Then they just like put him in old age makeup and like give him this like Dumbledore wig, and then. And he looks, and it's so funny because it's like he's trying to like pretend to be old and like cantankerous and stuff, like, but it's just like you're just like giggling because you're like, oh gosh, Merlin, you crazy kid. And then another instance is so it doesn't follow too closely to the Arthurian legend. It like follows close enough. So like Morgana is in it.
Oh, okay.
Morgan Le Fay. Yeah. And so she just had a vision dream, like she does, of him being old, of that, like he's like killing her basically, or she is dying and she's asking for his help, and he's like an old man and he's like, is this really what you wanted? So like that she saw the future.
If they were smart, they would just cast Sam Neill as the old Merlin and just make any of those of us who like the Hallmark Merlin miniseries really happy.
That's pretty much.
So
John Hurt is in the show though. So
he is what?
There's a dragon, and he's the voice of the dragon.
Oh my
John
gosh.
Hurt. It's perfect. It's amazing.
Oh, John Hurt. So, now I gotta watch.
It's kind of like how we is this the BBC version of how we have like superhero shows like Flash and Green Arrow and stuff?
Good comparison.
Totally, like British TV, they freaking love this stuff. I mean, and it's really. I get it, because obviously Arthurian legends are some of the most important stories in not just the English literature, but to British identity as a people. Super into it. And it did, I think the show did very well. I mean, it had 5 seasons, which is BBC standard.
So it is done and over, like it has been.
Oh yeah. It ended in like 2012. It's all on Netflix if you guys are curious. That's how I'm watching it on Netflix.
Okay.
well cast, but it's definitely, and it's funny because even in the Netflix like titles, it says a family friendly version of Arthurian Legends. Like, oh, okay, well, this is good. So there's no, R-rated anything. Everything's very wholesome. There's no curse words, really. They say bloody sometimes because it's British television, but that's about it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And then let's see. So I'm just going through the list here. I foolishly just clicked refresh on Google, so now I am.
I know. Oh my God, dude.
I am trying to distract myself again. I was like, I wonder what's going on. I'm like, oh. Because I was like, I was gonna wait until they started calling the West, because I'm like, it doesn't really matter until once.
Well, let's do it. Like I said, I had this amusing idea that we would like check in. We don't need to say anything. I'll just tell you guys, I've taken my Xanax. I'm not feeling the effects of it yet. I'm hoping it just leads to a peaceful night of sleep. Yeah.
Babe,
how are you holding up?
Babe, just Xanax, please, babe.
Well, going back to the beginning, I'm gonna have to go down to the green solution and purchase some new edible tools probably tomorrow.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Emily, you missed we had a weird sort of 30-minute intro where I told the story about the first time I had edible marijuana, and Todd listened. So
we were talking anxiety and how it manifests, and Taylor is a purely recreational, not medicinal consumer because he lives in Colorado, and at least until
legal.
Yeah.
Well, it's California soon, very soon. In fact, did they have they announced California?
Dude, I'm like the worst voter because I'm single focused on one horrifying thing that is happening.
Well, the polls in California have not closed yet, so we won't really.
Right. But they've called it for president.
Have they? No, they haven't.
Yeah, I mean it's.
California
has
in California.
Not.
Yeah. You said that like
right.
I was like,
no. California is blue. As expected. Where is that pot proposition? Let me. It's close, but 53 yes, but only 4% reporting. So I mean, we got nothing to draw on there.
California definitely had the drugs, sex, and rock and roll ballot this year because we had two propositions on the death penalty. We had legalizing marijuana. We had one proposition about like condoms in
porn. Yeah.
And like we were just like California's like, meh, whatever, we're done. Like we know who our president is, we're fine. Like just vote on whatever.
Yesterday I felt so weird, like just standing in that line with these, all these nice people who are older than I am. All of you are going to vote on whether adults who have sex on film for a living should wear prophylactics. What a weird, like I just can't imagine like my own parents in that voting booth going like, Oh, what a strange proposition. Wow, we've fallen off the rails here.
Yeah.
Well and truly. I honestly, it's impressive we made it till 18.
Yeah, man. We're almost 2 hours.
We haven't freaked out yet.
No. I'm full freaking out. How do we wind this back into something that is not non-election related?
What's fun? You want to talk about this game that I've been playing, which may be very appropriate in about a couple of hours? It's called The Rapture. That's what this game is called.
And
it's
real quick. This has nothing to do with BioShock, correct? Because that was my Okay.
No. Yeah. It's like the biblical rapture.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
So it's made by Sony, and it's made by the Santa Monica studio at Sony, and plus a few other people. But it's kind of like if you've ever played Gone Home, which was a really, really great game. So it's just like, you come into the events of the story after the story has happened already. And so you just kind of like wander this beautiful, idyllic town in England. when everyone has disappeared. Like there's no people at all. There's no dogs or cats or anything. There's like dead birds everywhere. And so you kind of like, and you don't even really know who you are. That's kind of the mystery too. You're like, well, why would I get left behind of this crazy event? And so you just kind of wander around this town. Just wander around this town. And first off, you start to realize that this like floating ball of light is ever present. And it guides you like down the street, like into these strangers, your neighbors' homes, basically. And then they do like these like shadow memories, sort of, with the light. Like you find these other points of light, and you like tilt your controller, and then it shows like a memory of something that happened to the people who live there, the people you're kind of like following. So you like have to put the story together yourself of like what happened to everyone and like what kind of occurred. Which is really cool because I love mysteries. And there's no combat or anything. There's no real conflict. You just kind of like wander around this town and like, why is everyone gone?
This reminds me,
like why?
Just, I mean, not plot-wise or anything, but it reminds me so much of that game, Taylor, that you were describing as sort of the first puzzle game that, like, where you.
Oh, you mean Myst?
Yeah, where you just sort of dropped into a world and you have to kind of start figuring things out.
Yeah, Myst, and then they have the Science Studios who did Myst recently did a Kickstarter game that's more of a spiritual successor. It's not really a direct sequel, called Abduction, but sort of vaguely reminds me of what you're describing, Emily, just in terms of how the setup. There's like this floating light acorn thing that transports you to this other world. I guess that it's all mysterious. But is this all? I guess, is this one of those games like Myst where it's just there's not like actual other characters you interact with? It's all you trying to figure out the circumstances of where you are?
Yeah, exactly. And so, and like the further you progress in the game, like I don't know how long this game will take me, but I'm pretty far into the story where I've kind of figured out what has occurred and like where everyone is and like what this ball of light is. So, and it's kind of tedious because you just like, if you lose the ball of light, you're just like, well, should I have to like wander around this farm like until I find it again? Like, so it takes, it's a long time. It definitely takes you a long time to play this game. But I like it. And it's just one of those games like, so I'm also simultaneously playing the Skyrim remastered. And so, like, all of Skyrim is conflict. Like, everywhere you go, there's, like, something wants to eat you, someone wants to kill you, someone wants to, like, exploit you for money, So it's kind of, like, a nice where you just wander around, you're like, maybe it was aliens, maybe it was angels, I don't know, like, let's find out together. So, and there's no combat, it's not scary, but I still, like, my level of anxiety is still really high with this game, which the same as, like, Gone Home. And, like, because both of them actually were free for, like, PS Plus, which is a fantastic thing. And so I played Gone Home, and I don't think Peter was, like, here with me. He was, like, doing something else. And I'm like, I'll just play this. It'll be fine. Like, because I Googled it beforehand. Like, is there any combat? Is it a horror game? Because it sounded like the description. I was like, this is going to be scary for me. And so, but there's no combat. There's no scariness. But still the whole time, I'm, like, wandering around the house. Like, I've gone home. I'm wandering around the house going, oh, God, my little lesbian sister married our parents, ran away. I'm going to find them dead in this house. Like, this ghost uncle, whatever, who died here is going to pop up. And they never did. Like, everything was fine. It was a beautiful love story game. But, like, the whole time I'm like, people are going to be dead in here. It was going to be, like, Five Nights at Freddy's. Ask people and got me out of me. But there wasn't. So same as this game. There are no aliens or ghosts or angels as of yet, just balls of light, and that my husband cheated on me.
I've always wondered if they'd ever take a game like this and like set it up for like the first, 25 to 30% of it is like, okay, this is like a mysterious, cool puzzle, and then like halfway through they just drop like sadistic shit on you, like some kind of crazy, alien, drops in and starts chasing, where like it completely changes the tone and tenor just to screw with people. Because we've seen like these games are awesome, but they seem to have kind of you kind of know what you're getting into, so you kind of know like, oh, this is this kind of game. Cool, I can settle in and really get used to it. And then it would be hilarious if just once they threw some big huge kink.
Yeah. Well, that was like, okay, so back in the day, this may date me a little bit, not too much, but Kingdom Hearts. When the first Kingdom Hearts came out, like my friend had it, because this is how you played games. Your friend got it, then you got to play it. She was like, oh, yeah, it's a Disney game. You'll like it. And I'm like, oh, cool, perfect, fun, So I play it, and like the first part is like so beautiful. It's like this beautiful idyllic island, and you're with your friends, and you know it's beautiful and sunny. And then all of a sudden, the friggin' heartless giant monster comes out of the ocean, and these little heartless dudes are running everywhere. I'm 13 years old, and I'm going, she tricked me. My best friend tricked me into playing a scary game. Because you're thinking like, oh, it's Disney, it'll be fine. And then it's super scary.
I didn't know this about Kingdom Hearts at all. That's interesting. I kind of want to play it now.
If you played Kingdom Hearts, like as an adult, like I played it again as an adult. I'm like, oh, this is fine, whatever. I'll kill these little dudes. But as a 13-year-old who never, like, I get scared. Like I'm still afraid of the dark. Like I have a very vivid imagination. Like I do not do well with scary games. If you ever watched on my YouTube channel me playing Dead Island, you understand that I am not built for this. Like I just cannot do it. And so 13-year-old Emily is doubly, triply scared because my anxiety is like at 100 all the time. So playing this Disney game that turned out to be a scary Disney game felt like such a betrayal.
That's a perfect way to sum up the election. A scary Disney game.
Why do we keep everything we talk about just turns towards the apocalypse? Oh Lord, yeah.
That's what I was gonna say too. Of like, obviously, I want Hillary to win. Like that's who I voted for. I think she's an excellent, the most qualified candidate for president we've ever had. But to be honest, Peter and I have been preparing for the apocalypse for years. I mean, be it zombie apocalypse, financial collapse, whatever. Like we're ready to go. So either way, I will be waking up tomorrow either very happy or getting my bug out bag and buying a shotgun or something. I don't know, just to be ready, you guys. So should be very exciting.
Well, on that note, I gotta go to bed, y'all. I gotta wake up early and go to a video shoot. So I can leave you guys to continue on, or we could wrap up.
We should wrap up. We are hitting the 8:30 mark Pacific time. Terrified on election night.
We can all just go into our anxiety.
I've told you. My already had my Xanax. I think technically the prescription says as needed.
So need a lot.
I know the other night. I took one the other night and I was like, how many are left in here? Yeah. I got a rough week ahead. So I may just turn everything off and just go hibernate. That may be my coping strategy for the rest of the night. Just like literally no electronics, just in a dark room.
That's a good strategy. I might follow.
Yeah, we were semi-successful in distracting ourselves.
I think so.
Yeah.
I hope that we were at least successful in distracting others. Thanks to everyone who listened.
I've had a few people hit me up on Facebook saying you're doing the Lord's work, so that's that's encouraging.
That's high praise.
Yeah. Emily, where can folks find you online, out and about?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at that Emily Kelly, Kley. You can also find me every Wednesday not this Wednesday because I was gone, but every Wednesday from now on the Assembly of Geeks podcast at assemblyofgeeks.com. You can also find us on iTunes.
Excellent.
That's really it.
Todd, are you going to still be online after all this is over?
I was going to say maybe you won't find me anymore, but
I mean, to try to be positive about the things that we're seeing, I would say that one of the worst things has just been the contention for the past, God knows how many months. Some resolution is happening. That's so. When you say, "Will I still be online?" One of the things that has been really tough is seeing that deluge of just really awful stories that need to be reported, but seeing that every day. Mm-hmm. And so I'm kind of, just hopeful that after there's a decision tonight, that will break, and I will be online making stupid jokes about my jorts again. We'll see. I am I don't know how long I got to wait for that pot to get legalized in California. I'm really happy that I'm headed to a state where it is perfectly legal this weekend.
Yeah. You will be. Todd will be here.
I will be catatonic on Taylor's couch in 48 hours.
4 years.
So I am online at Hey Todd A. Only on Twitter. Twitter is my public social network. I don't truck with the others. We are on there.network. You can type that into a browser, there.network. Taylor, I'll get to you to plug, but I wanted to say one thing that relates to Emily, which is we did this awesome episode with Emily maybe last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, about Supergirl. And right before the LA Comic-Con, scheduled it to come out yesterday and had some snafu. And I don't know why it is not on iTunes and Google Play yet, but as soon as I have a spare catatonic moment, I will investigate that. But look for that on there.network and on iTunes, Google Play. We're a Todd and Taylor show, and we have other podcasts on there.network, and this is on there.network right at this moment, and blah, blah, blah. Emily will be on this awesome episode talking about Supergirl very soon. Taylor, where are you online?
You can find me at Taylor Trask on Twitter, also there.network, and wherever podcasts are downloaded.
Awesome. Man, well, thank you, Emily, for joining us tonight.
It was my pleasure.
Yeah.
Definitely, I had fun.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, we appreciate having you.
Yeah, I appreciate that you either had fun or that you are game enough to lie about having fun.
I don't even know the ways of the world anymore. What is real anymore? Honestly, I don't know.
Well, I'm gonna go.
No,
play
I definitely.
Rapture. That's what I'm gonna go do. That's based on your recommendation.
Yeah,
exactly.
That sounds really cool.
It is free if you have PS Plus, or just get a free trial of PS Plus and then play it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Or if you download it.
Well, until the next time that any of our podcasts are heard,
in a future far from now, when civilization look back and go, how did they live
behind a wall?
How did they live?
Just like happy Hunger Games, everyone.
Yes.
May the odds ever be in your favor.
Perfect ending.
Oh boy. So yeah, Thank you very much, and we will see everyone soon. Check us out online. See you later. I'm gonna hit stop broadcast, guys.
Yeah.